Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down our next fight for UFC 324. In this matchup, we have Michael Johnson taking on Alexander Hernandez. Very well put together matchup, in my opinion, in the lightweight division. Two guys who have a very similar career trajectories as of late, because it's a matchup against both two guys who have shared the cage with some of the most elite competitors in the lightweight division, but for very different reasons. One is just a veteran who's shown flashes of brilliance, but also terribly inconsistent, Michael Johnson. The other is a fighter who what burst onto the scenes basically at the jump, but then after some tough losses, had to try and reassert his identity during his sort of up and down UFC run. So this fight isn't so about potential like some of the other matchups I just talked about. It's more about the execution. I mean, if you look at it right now, like I said, both guys have a very similar story career. They've been high level competition. For Michael Johnson, has a win over Dustin Poirier, Tony Ferguson, like cracked Habib, fought Gaethje tooth and nail for 2 rounds until he got TKO'd. Fallen some hard times, moved down to featherweight, didn't have any success, and then it was like saying, is Michael Johnson washed? Like, can he get into the win column? It's like seemingly he only beat scrubs. At 39 too, at lightweight, that's a big if. But now running a 3-fight win streak, only one loss as of recent. That was almost 3 years ago when Diego Ferreira caught him. But you look at it, he's 4-1 in his last 5, beating Mark Casey, and then in this 3-fight win streak, beat Darius Flowers, knocked out Ataman Zaitar, and most recently beat Daniel Zellhuber. Very impressive, too. I didn't think he was going to beat Zellhuber. Now, you look at Alexander Hernandez, sort of similar in the sense that he beat some high-level guys, like knocked out Beneil Dariush in his debut, beat how do you pronounce that guy's name again? Give me 1 second. Like, the name is escaping me at the moment, but it was right after he beat, like I said, he beat Beneil Dariush on short notice, like quick KO. Very impressive. That sort of just kind of put him up the ladder almost instantly. He beat OAM, but then Donald Cerrone thoroughly whooped his ass. And then from there, Alexander Hernandez didn't really fully recover. Like, he was very inconsistent. He would win some fights, lose some fights, tried his hand at featherweight as well. Didn't work. His last fight in featherweight, we missed weight for that too. He lost to Damon Jackson. But since moving back up to lightweight, Hernandez has kind of put it all together. 4-fight win streak, beat Austin Hubbard, Kurt Holloway, and then most recently, his last 2 wins were by knockout. Knocked out Chase Hooper, who was streaking at the time, and then most recently in September, knocked out Diego Ferreira. So, like I said, two guys who, like I said, had a lot of ups and downs as of late in their careers, but right now they're on a hot streak, and at the very most, these two have what's one look for here. These two have sort of kind of put it together in a sort of late career resurgence. More so than Michael Johnson, because like I said, he is 39, but Hernandez is like 33. He's not that far off from like being at that 35 or over. But that being said, let's get down to their styles. Looking at Michael Johnson, for years, his career has basically been defined by his speed, specifically his hand speed and athleticism. At his absolute best, Johnson is a fast, sharp southpaw with excellent hand speed and movement. When he's locked in, Johnson can outbox almost anyone at lightweight. I mean, like I said, he caught Poirier clean on the chin, and to give an example. And Johnson, he throws clean combinations, moves very good laterally, and has the ability to win exchanges before opponents can even react. And even at 39, his hand speed is so incredible. Like, you looked at the Zellhuber fight, it looked like Zellhuber was lost at times. Like, he didn't know how Johnson was this fast. The issue with Johnson, like, it was never talent. He's incredibly talented. It's just he's so damn inconsistent. It's one of the problems like talented guys like him have. Johnson fights to the level of his opposition. And at times he loses to guys who you think, how the fuck did he lose to him? And then he beats, like I said, world-class opponents. It's just baffling. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes he looks incredible one moment and then hesitant the next. And when pressure is applied, Johnson can struggle with decision making. And he'll pull back like straight. He'll reset too often and allow opponents to dictate the pace. But again, if Johnson's able to put it all together, his hand speed is so dangerous, especially that check right hook of his or the left cross. His speed is so incredible. Like I said, he cracked Khabib Nurmagomedov, and I would say, didn't win a round against Khabib, but like I think the only person to show Khabib was human since they took some visible damage. Another concern I have for Johnson though is his durability in defensive lapis, because like I said, Johnson's been knocked out multiple times as of recent, at least his recent losses. Now he hasn't lost in a while. Like I said, the Diego Ferreira fight was a while ago, but you look at some of his most recent losses specifically. Yeah. All right, so Jimmy Malarkey, decision Malarkey, lost to decision Clay Guida, got ankle locked by Thiago Moises. Josh Emmett, besides Diego Ferreira, Josh Emmett was the most recent guy who knocked him out. Okay, I apologize for that, but still, I do worry about how a 39-year-old Michael Johnson can take a shot to the chin, especially someone like Hernandez, whose right hand is pretty devastating. Now, looking at Alexander Hernandez, his style is very pressure-oriented at times, or at least at the start of his career. He's more of a fighter whose game resolved around his physicality and pace, because Hernandez is a big lightweight, very strong, too, for the weight class. Hernandez wants to move forward, back opponents up, and force exchanges on his term. And Hernandez throws hard, dude. Like I said, that right cross of his is his moneymaker. That's how he knocked out both Chase Hooper and Ferreira. And Hernandez is very good at mixing in his takedowns. He's a pretty good wrestler, and it will embrace the grind when necessary. And like I said, now look at earlier in his career, Hernandez relied heavily on his explosiveness and sometimes at the expense of his cardio. Like that was always his issue, cardio problems. But you look at more recently, he is fighting smarter. Like he's not just pressuring consistently. He's picking spots to pressure rather than just going all out immediately. And that evolution is important in a matchup like this. I really do. Because you look at how he knocked out Chase Hooper and Ferreira, he didn't pressure them. He fought off the back foot and waited to line the right hand and caught it. Now, I will say Hernandez's biggest strength, I think, is his ability to force reactions. He doesn't give opponents time to settle, and whether it's striking or the level change, he's consistently forcing opponents to hesitate and figure out what he's going to do next. I think against someone like Johnson, that might be a really good factor here. Now, I think the fight really just comes down to pressure versus space. As Michael Johnson, he's going to want more space to move laterally, time his counters, and clean exchanges force clean exchanges at his own pace. While Hernandez basically going to want to take that all away. If Hernandez can consistently push Johnson backwards, cut off the cage, or force exchanges near the fence, he puts Johnson in uncomfortable positions. Like Johnson's tendency to reset and disengage plays directly, I think, into Hernandez if Hernandez decides to pressure. If Hernandez is sort of backing away, I see more Johnson having the time to line up his left hand. It's kind of interesting, though, looking into this fight, you realize like their crosses are both their best weapons. For Johnson, his left cross from southpaw, Hernandez his right cross from orthodox. And I feel like who lands that first is going to win the exchanges in the fight. Might even knock the other out, to be fully honest with you. And I don't think, and Hernandez doesn't need to outbox Johnson technically. I think Hernandez just needs to make the fight physical because he's going to be the better wrestler in there. And Johnson has always kind of struggled against better wrestlers than him. Now, Johnson has improved his takedown defense over the years, and he's still pretty tough to get down. And he's, still fast, athletic enough, even at 39, to I think thwart some of the takedowns of Hernandez. But I do think Hernandez is bigger than him, and I think he's going to be stronger than him. And I don't even think he needs to wrestle. Like the clinch work, the takedown attempts, and hard shots in close range, I think all favor Hernandez because I think while he may not be able to directly outpace Johnson in speed, I think Hernandez's explosive moments could match Johnson's hand speed. So I think factoring all this in, my official prediction, I'm going to go with Alexander Hernandez. I think Michael Johnson is absolutely live in this fight for sure. If he lands that left hand clean, I can definitely see him hurt Hernandez, maybe even knocking him out. But I think Alexander Hernandez's style is well suited to exploit Johnson's inconsistencies. I think Hernandez's pressure, willingness to mix in his wrestling, and ability to keep fights uncomfortable should allow him to control the majority of this matchup. And as long as Hernandez avoids reckless early exchanges and stays disciplined, he should be able to back Johnson up, win the physical battle, can steal momentum in key moments. So my official prediction, I'm going to go with Alexandre Hernandez. I think he's going to get a knockout too. I mean, like I said, that right hand of his is a weapon. And I just think he can catch Michael Johnson clean on the chin. I think if he does it like a few times, I think Johnson's going to go to sleep. So once again, my official prediction, I'm going to go with Alexandre Hernandez. And I'm going to pick him via knockout in this one. But that being said, this was my breakdown of this matchup. If you liked the video, like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below on who you think is going to win. But until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. And remember, stay calm, stay respectful, and enjoy the violence. I'll see y'all next time.